Hey, I'm kind of bored right now, so I feel like reviewing this, which is something a friend of mine gave me, for testing reasons. Um, and I just wanted to make a quick little review on it. Um, yeah. So this is a Zelda. Hold on, let me get this thing in focus. Zelda collection, Classic Edition 7-in-1. So this has Zelda 1, Zelda 2, A Link to the Past, Four Swords, which are counted as one game, Minish Cap, Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons, and Link's Awakening. So this has, like, pretty much all of them up to a certain date, not counting the 3D ones, because this doesn't do that. Anyway, this is for Game Boy Advance, though you could also play it on a DS or DS Lite, though you cannot play it on an original Game Boy because, well, duh. So turning it on, you got that iconic Game Boy screen, and here it is. Yeah, they have to do some funny naming stuff sometimes, but yeah, that's the menu. You got, as I said, they're just the games, and do I need to sneeze? I hate it when the sneeze kind of happens, but it doesn't. Anyway, I don't want to ramble about that. So, let's check out what's going on. So, running Game Boy Advance. I don't want that to glare too loud. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and yeah. So, as you can hear, the music is amazing, and the graphics look great. It's using the full screen. It looks exactly how you would expect it to look. This is, this is Minish Cap. This is exactly what anyone would expect. Got A, B. Can't really show you rolling around. I could try. Alright. Yeah, rolling works as normal, so it is like a perfect copy of the game. You can scroll through the menus, check out your map, check out heart pieces, all that. Like, it is a fully functional version of the game, and if you know anything about the game, you know the point I'm at, so it can save like normal. So, it in every way is just like an authentic copy of Minish Cap, except it isn't. It's just it's just not the real cartridge. But it is a Game Boy Advance cartridge, so it still kind of feels like the real cartridge. Anyway, turning this off, you saw some other games in there too. It's weird to turn it off and turn it on again like that, but some old systems sometimes can work. Anyway, so that's your Game Boy Advance sample. Now let's check out your Game Boy sample. Now, this runs Game Boy really well because... I'm just gonna... Oh, wow. There we go. My name's Anyway, so this is interesting because it puts in a little box, just like if you were to play a real Game Boy game. Let's take my copy of Pokemon Red, for example. This is exactly what it would do. I'm not going to cut to that or anything because I don't have any editing software. But just trust me on that, except this is cool because it has a little background to it, which is really, really neat. I like that a lot. And the game itself is scaled correctly. It's in this nice little box that's the size of an actual Game Boy screen. So yeah, no, it looks good. Now, I do want to check. And you can go in here. You got all kinds of settings to explore. Got save and load states. You can exit at any time. So that's your Game Boy emulation, which is pretty good considering that this is basically a Game Boy. It's a Game Boy Advance, but it can run real Game Boy software, which is pretty cool. Anyway, one last thing is this has one more system it deals with, and that would be NES. Now let's go to back where it all began, the original Legend of Zelda. Now, much like much like the Game Boy emulation, the NES emulation also has a save and load state system. Here's Zelda. I was playing around a little bit. Oh, I noticed the scaling. Anyone who's ever played on an NES, you would probably know. Oh, it's the wrong button. Right, select the pause in this game. Anyway, you'd probably know that the NES, much like the Game Boy, is supposed to be a pretty much predominantly, mostly square screen. It's supposed to be square. We can see stuff like that tunnel, for example. It's a bit rectangular. It's not the correct look. Now, it's not terrible. It's not like if you try to stretch this out to the size of like a Switch OLED screen, because that would look god-awful. But it still isn't perfect. Now, you can scale the characters down to normal size. There's also some like full screen, or not full screen, like normal like scale modes, but they just zoom in all part of the screen, and you can't play it like that. It's completely unplayable. It's terrible. Because what happens is basically the entire bottom half of the screen, as well as the far left and far right, just get completely cut off, and it's really just not how any game should be experienced. So yeah, you're just gonna have to play it with slightly incorrect scaling. Anyway, the game itself though runs fine. The D-pad is very responsive, as are the buttons. It's really annoying to play with just one hand. Enemies appear as normal. You just didn't see any on the last screen because I cleared it already. It's really annoying to play with just one hand. This is not meant to be played like that. Accidentally wasted a bomb. That kind of sucks. There we go. Hey, I cleared the screen with that. Anyway, just gonna shut this down. So yeah, basically the takeaway: Game Boy Advance runs fine, looks great. Game Boy runs fine, looks great. NES is a bit rough. However, that's the one thing that doesn't bother me too much, because yeah, if this is how you're gonna play those games, you should really upgrade and do something better, because this is like, it's good in a pinch. It's kind of like using the D-pad on the Joy-Cons. Like, it's good in a pinch, but that's not a real D-pad. However, I do have these games on my 3DS, Zelda 1 and 2. I also have them on my Wii U. Anyway, have them on my Wii U as well. Like, I have these games in other places. I can play them. So this cartridge really isn't going to be what I'm going to be playing my NES Zelda games on. So yeah, that's not too big of a concern for me. It's just more of like, if I'm already on my Game Boy and I'm getting tired of whatever I'm doing, like, I could switch over to those and have fun. You know, I'm sure I'll beat them on this anyway, because I just love playing Zelda. I'm really having to adjust my camera a lot. Not really good at this. But yeah, overall, it's a fun little thing. It seems to have been around since like 2013, is what it said at the bottom. Like in the pause menu, it seems to be, or at least the emulator for the NES was. I didn't check the Game Boy emulator because I'm stupid. But yeah, now it is kind of a tight fit in there though. Like, once it's in, it doesn't really want to come out, versus like the buttery smooth, like, just throw in the Game Boy game, take it out. I don't know if all Game Boy Advance games are like this or not. This is the only one I own. I mostly just use this to play Game Boy, because I just haven't gotten my hands on any actual GBA games. But, you know, it's fine, because you're also just going to leave this in for a while anyway, because you've got 7, and if you count 4 swords, 8 different games you can play. So yeah, no, I would recommend picking this up wherever you can find it. It's kind of cool, though. If you do want to collect the authentic games, I understand that too. The NES emulation isn't perfect, but Game Boy Advance and Game Boy run amazingly. So yeah, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but I do like to summarize stuff. Yeah, so thanks for watching.